All right, welcome back to another episode of the Chief Lego Fanatic. My name is Evan Singleton, and today we are going to be building the second section of the RMS Titanic. Everything is awesome. So last time we did the first section of the RMS Titanic. That took about 3.5 to 4 hours. So that took a long time. I didn't want to do this as one long video because that would be a really long video. So at the beginning, I guesstimated that there was going to be about 40 bag sets, 35 to 40. I'm not sure how close that's going to be because this section goes from 13 all the way to 28. Whereas this section had 12, obviously since it starts at 13. So we'll see. I think that this is the largest section, both by dimensions and piece size, just because it's the center part of the ship. So you don't have like all this bow. It's all going to be the main width of the ship. I'm super excited about it. I enjoyed doing that part. I can't wait to see this thing completed and all put together in one place. I think it's going to be a blast. All right, so let's flip through our instructions. We do still have one decal left. I think it's going to go on the very aft end of the ship. So again, this one, there is no inventory at the back. I guess the inventory is all in the first part. As you can see, this last section ends with connecting the forward end of the ship with the mid ship. We have our stands. This actually has a lot fewer Technic pieces than I thought that it was going to be. I thought pretty much all of the interior was going to be Technic, and it's not. Doing our smokestacks. You see we're putting the deck together there. The amount of detail in both the drawing and the set itself is pretty amazing. I think it's going to look really, really good when it's all together. I'm guessing since this is on bag 24 already, that similar to the forward end of the ship, you actually put it together in multiple sections, probably 2 or 3, and then combine the different sections. I don't think you're building just this out of 12 bags or so. They do have a little information plates. The ship's hull was held together with over 3 million iron and steel rivets weighing over 1,300 tons. So that's a pretty cool fact. I like these little neat facts that they included in here. Yep, so you can see here the amount of detail work showing the actual hallways and the bulkheads between the different sections of the ship. Yeah, so looks like you're putting together a second section. So you can see it's a whole smokestack section, similar to the after end of the bow section of the ship. Yeah, so funnel and compass. So section number 4. So the first part of this is going to be section number 3. As you see, it's fully complete all the way up to including the not nearly enough lifeboats. That old trope about the Titanic. Looks like it's very similar to the way the after end of the forward end of the ship is. Hopefully it's not super repetitive. That's something that can aggravate me on from time to time. But it's not nearly as bad as like the Coliseum section was. That one was extremely repetitive. But it looks like you're just building the same section of the ship twice. The only thing that might be different is the engine sections, what it is that they want to show in those parts. All right, let's see what it says. It says that section of the ship is called the funnel and main cabins. So that's the name of section number 3. And then it shows what you're building with each bag. So 13 through 20 is the funnel and compass. 21 through 26 is the end just after that. And then 27 and 28 is combining the 2 sections. It's got some information here about the actual construction of the actual Titanic. Describes how it's the world's most luxurious passenger liner. It's really sad what happened to it. But all right, well, let's start on this section. Alright, so this section is actually pretty much two identical sections, or two mini sections. This is just the center portion of the ship for the two smokestacks. However, one section will have one set of passageways. The other section has the other set of passageways because it's the two sides that combine, or the two parts that combine with the bow and the aft end of the ship. So kind of like the bow portion, it starts with the base. Again, not a lot of techniques, still mostly regular Lego bricks. You can see again, I talked about this during part one, but I don't know if Lego just needed to get rid of a bunch of color pieces or if they just didn't want it to be extremely monochromatic. So you can see the different colored pieces that they use in the section of the ship that you're not going to be able to see from the outside. As you can see, the portion towards the left is a little bit more built up. That's the more detailed portion where you can see the different passageways and the tables and all the decking or the flooring and whatnot. The back end of that is the one that's actually going to connect to the second mini section, so it won't be part that you can actually see visible. Yeah, so that so far, like even just the little bit that took, that was pretty much all of the interior part of this section. So you see me building now, that's actually going to be the side portion, at least the upper side portion. You can see where it's black and white, the black being that middle color, if you compare it to the bow portion. Yep, you see added on the red sections, that's one side, and then this next bag is pretty much the exact same thing, except it's set for the other side of the ship. You can kind of see in the side panel where it still has some white, those are actually missing pieces, and they do that on purpose because that's what it actually uses to connect the two mini sections to each other. So eventually the two mini sections go together, and then you put the pieces in so that it fits them, or they're all fit together snugly. Yeah, so we put in some yellow pieces. That'll be the underside of the deck. And now we're actually starting the decking portion. This is actually the colonnade or the walkway that goes the length of the ship. You can see where it starts on the bow portion underneath the smokestack. Yep, got some random blue pieces in there. These actually building the window sections. So a bunch of little bitty mini pieces, but they make pretty good windows. It actually did a really good job of coming up with a way to keep them snug in there. There's actually kind of a slot that they fit into. Yep, now we're actually starting to build the deck portion. The deck going together. There's just a whole bunch of little pieces, but it seems like it takes so long. And then this is going to be the top part of the deck. This is actually the next day. I took a little bit of a break. Hands get tired of putting together tiny pieces so many times. And I actually started this set almost immediately after I finished the UCS AT-AT set, so my hands are already kind of hurting. This is just adding a lot of details to the deck. Building the lifeboats. Not that they were super useful when the Titanic sank, but still build them, keep dropping pieces. I need to build an edge for my table. Found extra pieces, had to figure out where they went. That happens from time to time. Yeah, this is me searching for where this piece is supposed to go. Eventually I figure it out. took a while. This is at 2,000 times speed, so you can probably guess how long that was there. All right, so now we're building, starting the second of the mini sections. So you have the 2 mini sections make the one big center section. Oh, no, wait, I lied. This is me building the smokestack. All 4 smokestacks are actually exactly the same. And one neat thing about the smokestacks, this is my eldest daughter talking. One neat thing about the smokestack is the way they use some of the pieces. They actually use the same piece that they use for lightsabers in the Star Wars sets as one of the pieces that they use on the smokestack. I can't think of any actual unique pieces that this set had. It was all pieces that were already in Lego's inventory, but they came up with better ways to use them. Alright, now we're starting on the second of the mini sections. Building the very base of the ship. One weird thing is that the base of the ship is brown. Not sure why. So it actually builds almost the exact same as the first mini section. However, the section that is underneath the passageways, instead of being filled in, is actually empty. And I talk about this at the end, and I didn't understand why at the time. But in the third section, the engines actually stick out of the third section and protrude into the middle section. So that's the reason it seems like there's this weird gap in there. Yep, so already done. Now we're starting on the side panels. You can see the black and the white. Eventually you just add the red parts at the bottom. These 2 mini sections went pretty fast. It took me about 4 hours to finish these 2 sections, which is really good considering this is a 9,000 piece set. It took me about 13, 14 hours total between all 3 sections, which is really fast. A good judge of how long a set will take is if you're an experienced builder, about 500 pieces per hour. So if you're more casual novice, probably like 200, 250. It comes down to just knowing how to read the instructions, being used to seeing like, oh, that's for this piece, and just the practice of getting the pieces together. We've got the one section or the first side panel done. Now we're doing the second side panel. See the yellow at the top, adding in some details of the passageways and whatnot. Building up the colonnade. All the little details. There's one nice thing about the set. It's extremely detailed. For the piece count, a lot of the rumors prior to the set being actually announced put the piece count in like the 12 to 13,000 piece range, which means it would have been extremely detailed on the interior. Personally, when I did find out what the piece count was, I was apprehensive. I didn't think that they would be able to do a whole lot of details, thinking that they would have to be using a lot of pieces just for the structure. But they actually did really well. They did, at least for the interior detail. That's what I was primarily concerned about. I knew the exterior details would be fine. Yeah, the fact that they made the interior detail as well as they did made me really happy. But just from seeing these 2 little mini sections and then the entire bow portion in the background, you can get an idea of how long this set actually is when it's fully completed. The aftmost end of the ship is actually the longest portion. So the set deserves to be 5 feet long. It actually uses every inch of it to the most. I greatly applaud Lego on how well they designed this set. Now just adding more details on the deck. Like I said, this is pretty much a carbon copy of the other little mini section. So it's building up the deck. You eventually build the deck house on top. this is putting the actual decking down on the deck. A bunch of little mini pieces built, like the railing and whatnot. Building the chairs or the benches. This should be the smokestack portion. Yep, the smokestack. All 4 smokestacks are identical. Neat fun fact, only 3 of the smokestacks in the Titanic were functional. Or sorry, only 1 was functional. 3 of them were just there for decoration. Alright, so now we're building the carriages for the lifeboats and the lifeboats themselves. Not that there were nearly enough of them. This is kind of an open grate. That's what I'm building now. Oh, yep, see, putting them all together. Had trouble actually getting them to go together because there's a couple pins you have to put together. And then this entire bag that I'm working on now is nothing but the pieces that are connecting the 2 sets together, or the 2 sections together. You can see how it's all filled in now. It's absolutely gorgeous. A few more details, I think a few more lifeboats just because they span across the 2 main sections. And the last thing is the stands. It's just 2 identical stands, same as the 2 that are in the bow. And that's it. Put the 2 sets together. Alright, so this completes building of the second section of the RMS Titanic. As you can see, it is getting longer. It's a little bit over 5 feet once it's actually have all 3 sections. They did kind of cover up the connection, so it is fully one piece when you connect the 2. But they made a pin that's kind of disguised right here that goes down all the way through the other 2 sections. And then it does have a couple of pegs. And then on the inside, you can see it has these rounded pieces and match up with rounded pieces on the other one. And that's what the pin goes through. You can see that it's pretty detailed, kind of like the front section is. You can see the different passageways. You can see on this side, I think it's this side. One of the sides you can see a pool. One thing that's kind of disappointing is that while the front section has part of the engine room, you can see here, and I know the last section does, the center section doesn't really have anything. It kind of has a railing right here, but the other side, is just pretty much empty. And there's no real detail to it. But we'll see how it matches up with the third section. Well, that finishes up this video. This did take about 4 hours to do this section. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, so on and so forth. I'm really looking forward to getting the last section knocked out. This will be a great set once it's all together. But I'll see you guys next time.